Our second look at disruption is at politics. And it's hard to imagine politics being any more disrupted than it is today. We spoke briefly before and asked the question, what if everybody starts getting their news from the web? Will voters only look at opinions they agree with already? And will they look at less news? Okay? So people spend less time browsing the web than they did reading a newspaper. What will happen then to political discourse and an informed electorate in this country? We know that people tend to move in a direction that is more extreme by associating with people in media that agree with them. So if here are a whole group of people who agree with me, as I spend time listening to them, I move more in an extreme direction. So let's look at the 2012 US elections. This is electoral vote. And you can see that Romney lost by a fairly large margin in terms of the Electoral College. But if you look by county, when I first saw this, I said, how did Obama win? But if you look at all of these blue areas, okay, it turns out that there are a lot of people. And in these red areas in here, which don't show up very well with the red highlighter, in these red areas, there aren't very many people. So what happens is that the counties, by and large, in the rural areas, all went for Romney, and the cities, with their large number of voters, went for Obama. But you also see this sort of edgewise. It looks like the coasts, okay, a little bit in here, okay? But the center of the country is pretty strongly for the more conservative candidate. So we juxtapose these two maps, and you can see the huge mismatch between the electoral vote and the way the counties went in voting for the president. This is counties, and this is electoral. If people get their political news from the internet, what are the implications? Will this extreme difference we have between urban and rural become even greater than it is now? Urban areas voted Democratic for the president and Congress. Women, Black, Latino, and gay voters were all very much for Obama. But all those red districts tended to elect Republican congressmen. So what you end up with is something called gridlock. And we've been experiencing that for the last 4 or 5 years in the United States political system. Is the internet to blame? I think the answer to that is clearly no. We can't really accuse it at this point, but as a prime suspect, though again, I don't blame the internet itself, it's the way we behave. It's the way that we have adopted the internet for getting our political news. Let's see what you think about this, and we'll pause for a moment for a quiz. What are some ideas? Well, maybe we can enlist the internet to provide a more informed electorate. When we discussed newspapers, we said, how about a refereed balance site for political news that would be neutral, like the Congressional Budget Office? We can use the educational features of the web to help people learn critical thinking. Maybe we can use Coursera and the other MOOC providers. Systems theory, how to look at an issue from all sides rather than from just one partisan side. The issue here is that for years and years, our country has worked on the basis of compromise. And if we find views going to become more extreme on either side of the spectrum, it makes it much more difficult to arrive at a compromise. So this is a disruption that is not caused by the internet or caused by technology, but it's being enabled by that technology. And right now, no one has come up with a viable solution to the problem.